Hello, Mr. BRK Sailor. I just got through watching your very silly video in which you acted in a very mean-spirited and negative fashion. I don't even know where to begin. Your video was so silly. Number one, before you start calling people ignorant, you might want to actually listen to what they say. Now, I know you probably know what a straw man argument is, so I'm not going to explain to you what that is because you sound intelligent enough to know what that is. And I don't think you were attempting to make any straw man arguments. I think it's just that you weren't listening. Not only were you not listening to me, but you apparently didn't watch the videos that I was referring to. Now, partially this is my fault because I do not specifically reference those videos very well, and I certainly don't quote them, so sometimes it's really hard to know what I'm talking about if you don't watch the videos. Secondly, I don't usually prepare notes except for, real basic written notes when I respond. I like to talk in a very matter-of-fact sort of way. But anyone listening to my videos and watching them all the way through, I think, and I'll watch my videos again to test this out, but could pretty much tell what it was that I was saying. So you seem to be responding to things that I have never said. I don't even know where to begin, so I'll just start with some of the more silly things. You talked about Blackwater when I never mentioned anything about mercenaries. I never mentioned anything about contractors. If you watched the video that I was referencing, the video showed specifically, and maybe I should have said this in my video, it showed American soldiers under orders. It is clear in the video that they are under orders to randomly shoot at civilians, randomly for no apparent reason. They have orders to do this. There's no evidence that Blackwater was ordered by anyone to shoot at anyone ever. Specifically, you mentioned in your video about Blackwater randomly shooting at people. But I have opened a newspaper and I've read almost everything on Blackwater, and there's been nothing about them randomly shooting at people. Now, you and I both know that the people in Blackwater are a bunch of idiots. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows they've acted abominably. Everyone knows they've done wrong. Everyone knows that lots of them are going to go to prison, that they're murderers and they're bastards, and so on and so forth. Everybody knows this. I've never said otherwise. I don't even mention them in my video. I've never said that all Americans do good things in the Middle East. I've never said that. What I was mentioning was a specific context, a specific video that made a specific statement that America's government has a foreign policy in which they go out of their way to shoot civilians. And they show these Americans shooting civilians very unemotionally while they're talking about sex, and they're just sort of doing it, sort of as they're going along. And they're talking back and forth in a very mechanical language that a person would be engaging in if they were going through following some sort of mission that they were on. Okay, we've gone through part 1 of the mission. Okay, we're going to part 2 of the mission. And they seem to be just shooting people randomly. Now, come on. You know good and well that the American government has no reason to go around randomly shooting at people. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. Not only is it against our morality, but it wouldn't even make any, even if we were the most morally corrupt people on the planet, and our government was morally corrupt, and we loved killing people, there wouldn't be much practical reason to just go flying around the desert looking for random people to shoot at. So this video is a silly video. That was all I was talking about. I was referencing one video. Context, dude. Context. I was talking about one video, and I was making a reference about the American government's foreign policy. Our foreign policy in our government has never been to shoot first and ask questions later, which, by the way, is a very vague thing for you to be saying. I would dare you to come up with any statement of any government official or any evidence of any behavior on any soldier's part by the command of their officers to go around shooting civilians. Now, have there been, soldiers on both sides that do things that their commanding officers don't want them to do? That always happens in wars. That doesn't prove anything about this video. That doesn't make this video accurate in saying that the American government has a foreign policy of shooting people randomly. Come on now. Another thing that you said that I thought was really, really funny is you said that I should read a Psych 1 textbook. You know, like I've got a doctoral degree in clinical psychology, but I've never read a I've never run a textbook. And I don't know the word abnormal. If you look at my video, I agree with you. I said in my video what the word abnormal means. Again, context, dude. I was responding to a specific person's use of the word abnormal, and the word abnormal has many, many meanings, not just one, dude. Look it up in a dictionary. Also, the word abnormal in my area of expertise is never used. It isn't a scientific word. It has no meaning. It's used in statistics, but someone who's left-handed is abnormal. The man in question, who, by the way, is a Nazi, I don't think you want to be agreeing with Nazis, but this Nazi man made the statement that it was abnormal, and when I asked him for a definition, he gives a definition, which is that abnormality is a freakishness, something that should not be, etc., etc., etc. I told him that he wasn't making a scientific statement, he was making a normative statement. He was making a statement of values. And in my video, I basically say that you cannot use science to support values because values are always going to be subjective. People decide values for emotional reasons. They might use some science or some logic in their process. But the point is that the word abnormal has two meanings. One means just that people with green eyes would be abnormal. And I say that in my video. I don't know why you're telling me that. It's in my video. Did you watch the video? What are you talking about? It's like a straw man argument that's so ridiculous. It's like you're agreeing with me and then telling me I'm ignorant for not agreeing with you when you are saying what I just said. So I don't know what you're talking about. He specifically was using the word abnormal in the pejorative sense. Look it up in the dictionary. You'll see that there's a pejorative meaning of the word abnormal, and that was how he was using it. It is very, very common for people to prevaricate, which means to start with one definition of a word, to use evidence for that definition of a word, and then to kind of sneak over and start using the word in another way. In other words, he's saying that because there's brain research that shows that gay people have different brains than straight people, which, interestingly enough, this brain research they've never been able to replicate it, so it doesn't even matter. But because there's brain research to show that gay people have different brains than straight people, that shows we're abnormal. Well, by the basic definition of abnormal, we were abnormal without the brain research, so the brain research is beside the point. Then he goes on to talk about abnormality in the pejorative sense, and that was what I was discussing. The pejorative sense of the word is value. You can't justify values with scientific data that has nothing to do with the values that you're purporting, simply by stating that because a word has two different definitions, if you support one definition, you're going to be supporting the other. That doesn't even make any sense. People could be abnormal and still not freakish, and still natural, and still good people, etc. This was a man who was saying that there was something very wrong with gay people, that they must be somehow needing to be changed or altered because something was wrong with them, some kind of disease state, which was strange because if you read the research that he actually is quoting, the people with the research were trying to say that the abnormalities or quote-unquote differences in the brains were genetic and were not in fact disease states at all. So dude, the next time you decide to call someone names and be mean-spirited, you might want to actually not only read what they're saying or listen to what they're saying, but you might want to look at the context of what they're saying. And I apologize if I wasn't specific in my videos, but there's really no excuse. All you had to do is watch the whole video and then watch the video that was related to, because telling a psychologist the definition of abnormality, that's like going to a mathematician and reminding them that 2 + 2 = 4. It's dumb, guy, So, the next time you want to make a video, you might want to actually listen to what the person said. It's odd that you started your video by talking about me being ignorant, but you were ignorant of the video that I made because you didn't even bother to